Good evening. Call the meeting to order. This is a meeting of the Hampden Selectboard and Board of Health being held at the Selectmen's Board's office, March 24th, 2025 at 6 p.m. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. This meeting is being recorded by us. Is anyone else recording it?
Kristen is.
Kristen Rivers, the Wilbraham Hampden Times. Okay, thank you. Minutes. First time on the agenda is minutes. We have March 3rd regular meeting. Let's see, we reviewed the minutes. We had a public hearing regarding the early voting municipal elections. We decided to opt out of that. We asked the Mass Audubon Society doing their annual deer pellet count. Police Chief Trowley was here, presented a recommendation for a new police officer, Andrew Poirier. Talking about the budget in the police department. And Old Performance Schools Finance and Operations Subcommittee.
Make a point there, Don. I know you asked at the beginning if anybody is recording, and it might be added to the minutes that when they came on WPA or whatever they were, recorded that part.
WPA did
Yeah.
record, okay.
Yeah, when the finance committee came over, right?
Talked about with the advisory committee. Draft budget, or the budget. And talked a little bit about Thornton Burgess move.
Motion to approve?
Yeah, except I don't think Don made the motion to adjourn. He's pretty stickler that, the chair doesn't make motions.
That's true, he entertained the
It would
motion.
be you,
He
yeah.
entertained.
Okay.
It was probably so fast, we're getting so good at it, she probably couldn't tell who it was. I think the word barely gets out of your mouth and I second it right away.
Which you haven't done this time with the minutes.
And we're still correcting it.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's another minute. You're looking at the other.
Motion to approve the minutes as corrected. Did you say as corrected?
I'll second.
I'll second yours.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Now we have the executive session minutes of March 3rd. We had discussion regarding the highway union contract and the superintendent of the highways contract.
Motion to approve without release.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. The next item on the agenda is a recap of the March 19th meeting with the Wilbraham Select Board. We had a rather frank and honest discussion about the different scenarios possible with the amendment of the regional agreement. We agreed to meet again in April.
We didn't do both executives.
We did both.
I made one motion, I didn't hear the second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, okay, where were we before?
We were talking about the great time we had.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And the issue, of course, remains about the students at the Wilbraham Middle School and how we should proceed. I had a conversation over the weekend with Sue Bunnell, the chairperson of the Wilbraham committee, and we did agree that the most important thing is to figure out a way to get the regional agreement finished so that the school committee can have the flexibility, we can present it at the town meeting and have the school committee have the flexibility to take care of overcrowding and utilization of the buildings. How we get there, we haven't agreed on. And of course, one of the main sticking points is, will Hampden pay a share of the part for the children in the Wilbraham Middle School? I was disappointed to see that the Wilbraham Capital Planning Committee did not approve fixing the ventilation system in the school, which is one of the major factors in the mold remediation. It was also pointed out in the 2015 feasibility study. And I personally, if I had a student there, I was a parent there, I'd be very upset that these things aren't being taken care of and need to be taken care of, and should not be a stumbling block to get this done. I think there's a number of things we could do as proposals, but I'll like to hear from you guys first.
Go ahead first.
All right, I appreciate the summary, Don. I think, the important thing was that we did meet with them, we opened the dialogue. You know, we don't run it, it's best to go face to face, let's not run it over email, phone calls, we all heard the same thing. The point you made is that they've had 8 years, 9 years to address documented problems. That really hamstrings us from doing something going ahead, because it has that perception, I want to say, that you're waiting for somebody to come along and help with that cost. When you're aware of what's going on, I certainly appreciate that the roof was done. That's good. Was there a solution that could have been done to? Yes, they were offered at town meetings, open a regional agreement, could have allowed, and go back to Craig's point there, you could have allowed cross-line students, and you could have had 250 students at TWB and 400 at Wilbraham Middle, and kept them both open, but that went nowhere. So we're where we are right now. We're okay with changing the regional agreement. I think the work that you've done with the rest of the committee, Don, is admirable. We need to figure out what's proper. We care about the students, but we're here, elected here for the 5,000 people in Hampton. We have to bring back a solution to them that's right for the wallet and right for the students. I don't think it's right to take on debt that's been known about without some type of, I don't want to say compensate or something back for us. You don't go buy a new house, get an inspection done, and then pay the same price for that house that they were listing for before the inspection uncovered the flaws. That's not how it's done. I do look forward to, again, a discussion, I think the second time, or when is it?
April 2nd.
April 2nd. Keeping it forward, it's fortunate that a regional agreement doesn't need to be done at this Springtown meeting. It gives us a little flexibility, but as they said, we do have some time.
Just to expand on what you said earlier about the idea I proposed, and it was before the school department had stated they had no use for Thornton Burgess, where I had suggested that in a regional agreement change, Thornton Burgess could be used as a district-wide 5 and 6, and the middle school currently could be used as a district-wide 7 and 8. I think that would have freed up a lot of alleviated a lot of crowding issues, space issues, and whatever have you, and then you have the ability to expand upon that. But since that didn't happen, you know, that's no longer a talking point.
Right.
Secondly, you know, it's no secret that I've been adamant that I don't agree with Hampden funding any capital project within the middle school as a investment that we would see no return on. And I think the excuse I heard of, well, we have to look at the kids, you know, it's what we're best for the kids. Yeah, I agree, what's best for the kids should always be used, but that shouldn't be the finger pointing at Hampden, because us spending money on a building that we don't own, that we don't have any stake in physically, is bad investment business for any business person. And I don't feel the need to dump money into a building that was even brought up by the chair of the Wilbraham committee that said, we all know that building's the dump, that who knows where it's going to be in 10 years from now. So not really spreading confidence in an investment.
No, then go back to your point that right now Wilbraham has 100% equity in the building. And going forward, they'd like to alleviate some of that equity investment with a 20% contribution from Hampden, 18%, whatever. And when all said and done, they still have the 100% equity, and that's what we're saying isn't fair.
Right, and I'll
that's
go
the
back to my
focus.
water heater analogy. You know, I buy a water heater for my home. it's got a 5-year prorated warranty. You know, if any investment that I put into that water heater, if it goes in 5 years, I'm gonna recoup some of that investment back in a new water heater. You know, so there's options that we could look into for some type of prorated investment, but I haven't seen those options yet.
No, but I think they heard us, which is the key part right there, and I think, you know,
I
Don
think,
reaching out to Nick and Sue got it together, and it was important.
when you're talking about the equity issue, it's not a foreign or a novel idea.
No,
The Massachusetts Building Assistance Program, when they give money to a school for a new school or to repair your school, they, in the law, I think it's 70B, they're allowed to recoup money. If you sell that school or lease that school to somebody else, they're allowed to recoup
their investment.
their investment back. So, you know, they say, we don't own the building, but we're giving you money, we want some equity. So there's no, I mean, I think at our next meeting, we really need to concentrate on that, but we also have to concentrate on, there needs to be a comprehensive plan to fix the things that need to be fixed in that building. You know,
To your
and
point,
I
it's been going
understand,
down.
I understand that they talked a little bit about, well, maybe there'll be a new middle school. Well, if they started that process today, it'd be 10 to 15 years before it got done. So you got 614 kids in that building, for a building that's supposed to only hold 420 for the best educational process. And something needs to be done, and we gotta agree on a plan to get that done, or at least a commitment that it's gonna be get done, so that's where I am on it.
And to your point, those issues have been there since 2017, 2015.
2015, yeah, that was one of the reasons, and they did a whole study, I think John was on the committee. They did a whole study about which school, you know, the declining enrollment was coming, both schools were a year apart in age. And they did which school could handle it, and they said, okay, Wilbraham Middle School could, but you gotta do these things.
Yeah, and like I say, a proposal was done to share the load between both buildings
Right,
by amending the agreement, and that went nowhere. And is there a chance that whatever you wanna say, that the outcome will be different right now? I don't think we've seen a real change in that, so move on. And I think that's what Don said at the beginning, we're where we are right now. We're not going back and relitigate the past, we went through that. But how do we work on providing a great education for the kids that's fair to all the taxpayers?
all right, so the next meeting with them is April 2nd, here. Okay. Budget review, what do we got?
It really hasn't changed since the last meeting. We moved the water district clerk. We removed the water district clerk, so I had responsibilities, or kept the responsibilities with the Board of Health and Ops Coordinator. And we increased, emergency management slightly, based on, an invoice we got for, Blackboard Connect, that's the reverse 911 program that we use. Other than that, changes, there have been no other changes to the proposed budget.
We talked to Doug today, and he's working on the full spreadsheet. Obviously, Don, you were online or there, the numbers we're getting from our biggest portion aren't encouraging at this point.
No,
It's gonna be a tremendous strain on the budget this year.
and there was a discussion at the school committee meeting about the budget, and the assessment may change.
But they also have that time limit too.
You have a time limit, they have to get us the assessment by April 1st, which they said they would do, but then they may send a revised assessment on April
Which they've
3rd.
done in the past,
Yeah,
yeah.
which they've done in the past. But there again, we're running into time, because the advisory committee wants to hold their public hearing on the 14th. They need 7 days to advertise, so that's the 7th, and here we are, 24th, so we're 14 days away from that. You know, so, getting to be crunch time. And, in the union contract and those things, we don't have those numbers, maybe we should just put 2.5 in. Tell Doug to put 2.5 in for the union contract, and if it's not settled, we'll have to come back at maybe some point, or maybe
the fall.
we'll just stay at 2.5.
You know, typically we don't fund salary positions, but we can adjust them,
Right.
which we have done in the past for,
Yeah.
the teacher contract and the
Just-
police
just
contract
trying
as
to
well,
do,
yeah. We just don't create new positions.
All right,
Warrant review, not really much change.
warrant review. Warrant review.
Just a CPA article, I think I saw.
Yeah, is there just one CPC? I emailed Doug today, I haven't heard back, one CPC article. The shade umbrellas, I believe.
There's still,
Was
he
there-
said there were two things discussed at the meeting.
Okay. I'm a bit concerned,
Yes,
my understanding is that that may be funds for design and engineering of parking area? Is that what that is on North Road?
Yes.
North Road Conservation? I'm a bit concerned about Article 29, which is, that's the grant of conservation restriction on North Road.
Yeah,
If they don't know exactly where that so they're seeking a 1.5 acre portion. If they don't know where that's gonna be, I think
They
it
do.
might be a little bit
no, they
premature.
do, they're just, it's 1.4, the number is approximately.
They're able
1.5, yeah.
to draw that.
I believe that
on a map,
they've already
so that-
done the A and R. So it should be right, so, yeah,
They're able to send that to me, cause last time
Yes.
I asked for
Yeah, they
a
came-
plan, they said,
so
we don't
basically,
have one.
I know they had flipped a couple of times, John. The house was gonna be here, or the house lot was gonna be there, and then there's gonna be a strip across the back for access.
Yes,
Which way did it end up?
it ended up as you're looking at the parcel,
The south is the house, or the,
the south would be the house.
okay, so the parking then is in between the new house and,
Correct. And the old house.
Audrey's house, basically.
Yeah,
and so there will be a strip behind for access.
correct.
Is she trading it with the?
Yes, they are.
Okay,
And CPC, there were two. One of them was for the, I'm gonna say the plan for the parking area. Okay, and that access driveway to get in there, okay? And then the other one was, of course, the parking rack.
okay, so if there was an A and R that was submitted and voted, then there's definitely a engineered drawing
There is,
for the,
For the easement as well?
yes,
yes,
Okay, cause I'll need that to,
attached, yeah.
yeah, to attach to the warrant before it's signed, so. we'll need
Joanne
that.
should have.
Okay, what was the one we went through so long, was that Olga and Tony's?
Olga and
Was that
Tony.
3 town meetings in a row?
yeah.
Yeah, did they fix the, election warrant? You had mentioned,
I went back through with Eva.
the planning board, that was it, okay, yeah.
It was 2 planning board positions.
This Article 26, is that coming out? Is that why, that's the Minichog Regional High School, Kubota,
But
RTV?
those are, that one and then the Green Meadows parking lot one, I just highlighted those to flag them, cause I know there's been discussions about,
Unless they withdraw, them, we
Those.
can't,
So you're trying to
Right.
create more discussion around it by flagging
I'm
them?
saying unless they withdraw them, we can't take them out, right?
like,
We are obligated to put their motion.
Yeah, we have
so.
to,
so I just wanted to make sure that,
There's definitely some inconsistencies with that fire road thing. I mean, several stories, so.
John, who gives us the amount for the school resource officer?
Wareham,
The town?
yeah,
Okay, I'll reach out to Nick.
yeah,
but you know,
it's really been around 11 grand every year, Don, right? Hasn't changed much.
yeah, no.
Yeah,
no,
surprising.
About 11 and a half at the most, yeah. Yeah. See, this is, so the regional school district puts in for a parking lot repair and a fire road extension around Green Meadows. And they put in for a Kubota RTV, whatever that is, right? And then some of the other schools, they put in things like fixing the parking lot or things like that. You got 614 kids in a school where the air isn't clean. And wouldn't you think you'd say, you know, we can hold off on the parking lot and the Kubota and the fire road, which the fire department here says, there's no problem, we can get a truck around there anytime.
Right,
You know, and put some of that money into opening up a vent or something. Just saying. I mean, that's what I mean, I think one of the things we need to talk to the select board is we have to sit down with the regional committee and say, look, let's be realistic about this. There's no middle school gonna be built for the next 10 or 15 years, so we gotta fix this school, cause we got 614 kids in there. They don't even have a library, they've got classrooms in the library, teachers, I was there, the teachers are teaching, some of the special ed teachers are teaching out of closets, they got the kid in a closet.
well, it's a priority thing, I'm more upset about the Green Meadows, where Brian and I went down there, spoke to the staff, if you will, and I heard their priority was safety, fixing the doors and fixing the locks. And that's not even making sure the flooring is good, I got
Yeah,
that,
okay.
but that should have been number 1 or 2, not a fire, so,
And to your point, Don, there's cubicles in the library where they're hosting classes.
Yeah.
'Cause my son was in one of them.
Yeah. So, yeah.
okay, great. Oh, good,
I mean, and you can't tell me that's educationally sound for the kids, I'm sorry. You know? So. Anything else on this? Did the ambulance, did the contract come, did they put in that subsidy thing? It's not it's not a warrant article, but,
I reached out to them at the end of last week, I haven't heard back.
okay. We just we need to wrap that up, that's all.
Yeah,
what do you want to set for a date to actually, publish the warrant? That's a question, so you're saying, so we got the 14th for the actual
Hearing.
hearing. We
7th.
talked about mailing out prior, so we're actually, I'd say, kind of running out of time for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you said at the beginning, like, you know,
Like the
days are
7th
slipping
maybe,
away.
you know?
I think next week we should make an effort to maybe have it out online at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, are we gonna mail a copy out like they did in the past or not?
I don't know how much it costs now, you know?
It's usually in the paper, right?
We usually
Yeah.
insert it in the,
I mean,
in the Times.
yeah, it's like maybe a 4-point, you know, look at 31 articles, plus then we gotta throw the budget on it as
Right.
well, for, you know, requested budget,
Alright, we gotta do that next week.
yeah.
Alright, which kinda covers timeline for annual town report, warrant article, financial amounts, right?
yeah, when do you wanna sign this? So we gonna sign this next meeting, or,
I would like to make a change, if you could have the signature sheets done.
Yeah, we got the signature sheets done.
he's on 650,
6 what?
650.
Anything for me?
Text them and tell them to
Yeah,
stop plowing the streets.
I got it.
Yes, John?
31 articles? Is that what you said?
I think it was 30.
That's where we are right now. 30.
35.
What, was it
Oh, yeah,
six from
35
the school
right
committee, I think?
Well,
Six from the school department?
yeah,
Okay.
35 articles. Hey, what, now, your energy storage thing is all set, right?
It's in with review,
Okay.
with
Rose?
Rose, yes.
And the accessory dwelling thing is gonna be on,
Also
okay.
with Rose.
Now, they have to be attached to the warrant, right?
I believe so.
They're somewhat lengthy, yes.
Are they, we don't need to print them in the warrant, I think we can attach it, right?
Yes, yes,
You could just say as a, you know,
Yeah.
appendix A or B or whatever it is.
correct, yeah.
Yep.
That public hearing is April 16th to discuss their 2 warrant articles.
April 16th, you're hearing?
Yeah. Yes.
All right, what else we got here?
Master plan.
Master plan update, so the master plan had their, second public forum, was pretty well attended, about 35 people were there. And it should be completed by the middle of April. And we hope to have it at least for, distribution by town meeting time. And it's 8 chapters, and the chapters are housing, land use, economic development, public facilities, open space and recreation, resiliency and climate, and transportation and mobility. And we have charts, what the action plans, the actions that need to be taken, or recommended actions to be taken. And hopefully I'll have them put up in the town hall here if anyone wants to stop by in the meantime to look at them. But it was a pretty good discussion, and the people, what they do is they go to each station and they look at the plan, and they put notes on there. And then the consultant is reviewing those notes and including them in the people's thoughts and all that stuff, so it's moving along well. And the thing to think about is that it's any of the recommendations or actions are just that, they're recommendation actions, everything changes, so you try to get things done as you can get them done. And one of the big things we're gonna need is people who are willing to get on boards and committees and commissions to help us implement these things over the next 10 years. So that's the update on that.
I was disappointed it wasn't on Zoom. I understand it was more of a poster board type
Yeah,
thing,
yeah.
but I still think there was a decent component that people wouldn't mind reviewing it either live or afterwards anyhow. All right,
Selectmen's
Mark
report.
said he's about 10 minutes away.
Okay, selectmen reports.
Not too much, but I did wanna bring up one thing that came up, bumped into someone at the senior center, and they're okay. They were asking whatever happened to the crosswalk at North Road. And I think that was part of where we were hoping there was extra casino money, and then there wasn't.
The signs, you mean, the flashing signs?
Put another sign at the North Road crossing.
That was,
And I think the total was in the 20-25 range by the time you put all the work into it. I know we did ask Mark, he did get a quote on it. But I did say to that person, part of the consideration will be also, maybe the need for it isn't as great when the town hall moves. But it is the one place you do switch from one sidewalk system to the other. So, something to keep on the burner. We did talk about it, and it kind of fell off the radar a bit.
we had submitted it with that, the plan for the casino mitigation funds, which they had denied.
Right.
So that was the plan to use that, and we thought it was a sure shot back then.
No, we thought we also had extra money, and then we found out that Bob had kind of used some of the money for something else, one of the MVP things or something.
But regardless if the town hall's here or at TVB, it's still school crossing and stuff there.
There's a crossing there.
Yeah.
So. I will say, coming down Main Street, I think it was yesterday, and these 2 kids were crossing on a bike, they let the thing, and somebody coming east just went bit right through it. The people in front of me, no problem, lined up, and so you need that. Craig, you're a great designer, you need that paintball thing built into your car. You can literally just pop somebody on by.
I don't know, I think that's pretty sure it's illegal.
Yeah, but it would.
Firing an
it would
object
feel
from a
so
moving
good.
vehicle.
So many times, no directional, boom.
But that raises a question though, Main Street here is pretty wide, would it be sufficient for a bike lane?
I don't know, I'm
We
surprised
do
with
have
some of
the,
the old pictures, like, John, when you see they used to park sideways.
yeah,
Hit to the curb.
yeah.
I don't know. You could, but it wouldn't be fun. Boy, you get right up to that, right after Memorial Park, and that lane goes away.
Yeah.
Heck,
Right.
But you see a lot of that, you see a lot of it when you're driving around, you see a bike lane, all of a sudden it ends, and you say, it's a,
I'm sure Converse, it like disappears at the end of it, exactly. No report.
I had an individual from town reach out to me over the weekend. They had noticed the flagpole was taken out by an accident in the center of town, and they own a flagpole company, and they were offering to donate a flagpole. So I told them I would just mention that in the report tonight to see where we wanted to go with that offer.
I think hopefully we'll hear back from the insurance company, because I would certainly think we would get something from them as well. Just to share the other flagpole that was put in 18 maybe, Don? Because you and Mary Ellen were on the board. 19?
19.
Was about, they bought, it was around 8 something to buy a new pole. there was some talk about the height difference and stuff, and that we don't wanna go through that again. That took a year of our lives, about one being higher than the other and all that, so.
A lot of,
We haven't got that
lot
many
of
left, we
issues,
can't
lot
go
of
through them.
issues.
So, but certainly, that offer is
That's a,
well
it's a
appreciated.
wonderful offer.
I think it's a great,
Right.
idea, great offer,
It's
you know?
wonderful, you know, so.
So I'll,
If we ever
if
wanna do
if willing, you know, I'll have him reach out to Brian.
And if we ever wanna get the, the two bases to match, I do have a full load of cobblestones that match the first one. That can be put around the other base.
You think you gave up on that cobblestone sidewalk in front of your house?
For the kids, for the children, bring back the old days, you know. If they take the buggy to school,
I have nothing to report.
you're busy anyhow, yeah.
Last week I had a call with Charter, talked about the cable license agreement and our proposal for, our request for capital funding for, AV and broadcasting things from, for TWB. So we have, as a reminder, we have two capital requests in the draft, cable contract, so. They're gonna give us a response to that, hopefully within the next week or two. We're getting pretty close to, but that's probably the only sticking point that remains, is those capital costs. The rest of the license is pretty generic.
You got a quote from the AV company for the town meeting, right? And they've got the date locked and all that.
There was a comment on, Zoom about the flagpoles. I didn't catch what it said.
Can we bring it back up? Was there a comment there?
Put the US flag up instead of the town flag on existing pole.
That was
Yeah,
actually my
that's what we'll
suggestion,
do, yeah.
was to put the US flag up and the town flag below it for right now, on the existing.
I believe Mark said he had to get a new flag, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what happened, oh, the flag, Rick must have got run
Must
over,
have
right?
gone, well, it hit the ground, so
Yeah.
it needs to be disposed of.
Closing, right, right.
I had a meeting with the gaming commission, the community mitigation grant fund folks from the gaming commission. Talked about our proposal for the outdoor recreation and marketing. They seemed, they thought it was eligible, and the way that the new grant program is structured is that it's a block grant. So they allocated 75,000 for Hampden, so it's an eligible project, so it's highly likely that that will be funded at that amount. They are concerned for future years because the governor's budget did not include funding for the community mitigation grant program. And last year it was the House that took the first step to remove it, so they're not sure how that's gonna work out. They said if they get no funding this fiscal year, they'll have $8 to $9 million statewide for that next grant round, so that's not a lot of money for all the towns that are competing for it. I had a conversation with folks from the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission today, and we talked about the one-stop grant programs and what may or may not be competitive. They said there seems to be a focus on municipal buildings for this round, which is
Promising.
makes me a little bit optimistic. We talked about, so expressions of interest are due actually on Wednesday, so we talked about putting in two expressions of interest, one for improvements to TWB, and then another one for money for reuse planning for this building or the future of this building. To see if we can find out what the highest and best use is for this property in this building. So those are expressions of interest, they'll give us feedback, it's, at this point, we're not committing to anything. We had a previous community compact grant that was a digitizing documents grant. That grant has closed out, that ended and we could get no more extensions, it's middle of March. So we closed that out, and we wrapped that grant up by doing some additional document scanning with the building department. We got an email from Jonah Keene with a draft MOA for, it's the invasives removal of invasive vegetation on, at Laughing Brook and a little bit on town property that we talked about, that pitch pine,
I think we granted it before, Don, remember?
heathland.
Yeah, we granted that before.
Yeah.
So, we'll have to, I think, take that up probably at our next meeting.
When they're done with the deer pellets, of course. Yeah,
Could it be possible that the deer pellets is leading to the growth of this invasive species because of the fertilization?
that's why you are who you are. That's great thinking outside the box, if you will.
So we are down one water commissioner, so we're looking for a new water commissioner. There's an advertisement or a notice on the town's website. If anybody's interested, they could, email me.
Are we down only one or two?
We're down one at the moment, we're down one.
Okay.
But yes, there's, another commissioner's term ends, I believe in June, and I don't believe that they're looking to extend, so we would actually have, a position coming up as well.
Okay.
At the,
Speaking of that, did they, hire that guy to put the line in? Do you know?
I believe so.
Okay.
I'll follow up with John. And so, we made an employment offer for, a new Board of Health and Operations Coordinator, and they have accepted, and they will be starting work on April 7th. So that gives us about 2 weeks overlap with our retiring Board of Health and Ops Coordinator,
If she's actually leaving.
if she's actually leaving.
I heard it's serious this time.
Really? Yeah.
When you see the for sale sign in front of the house, then you'll know it's for real. That's all I have.
All right. Gentlemen, you have anything?
I would say about the master plan that we're gonna need some bodies, and I know in town it's tough to get bodies, but I'd say out loud to people listening and to anybody sitting here that if you've got any ideas on how to get some people involved in those committees, in theory, we need 8 committees to get that thing implemented, so just saying, we need some bodies.
Since you're putting it out there, what are the committees that you're looking to fill? Hopefully, you said 8 committees, do you have any ideas yet?
Well, you mean for people?
Not for people, but you said you
Oh, the
need
ideas for the
8
committees,
committees,
well,
what committees
Is
would
that
those
the
be?
list
So-
you gave, or?
Yeah, that's list I gave. That's list I gave.
Okay, never mind.
Oh.
I
That
thought
was
there
the
was
list
a
Don
different.
gave.
Right,
The
and some of
committees
the-
on the list Don gave, that's
And
correct.
some of those would be subcommittees of like the conservation committee, because there'd be things to do there, there'd be from the select board, there'd be things to do there, you know, he'd work. So, all right, just before we go adjourn, we were meeting with the regional with the select board on April 2nd. Do you still wanna meet on the do we need to meet on the 31st of March? Or can we do the, you know what I mean, April 2nd, and we're gonna meet with them at 5:30 and then just have our regular meeting, or do we need to do things to get the warrant out?
I don't think it hurts to get things done for the warrant, but I'm happy to consolidate it in one night if you like.
Yeah,
That'll work.
right,
But, since they're 5:30, you wanna go after with our stuff, or since that's open-ended, I'm happy to start at 5. I don't think we'll have much to do, or 5 are tougher,
I
harder for
can't
you.
commit at 5 yet, I don't know, that all depends on a few factors.
right, so we just say 5:30. April 2nd,
That's a Wednesday?
it's a Wednesday.
Okay.
All right,
I'm doing that Wilbraham 5:30.
all right,
Until Wilbraham 5:30.
Yes.
I'll entertain a motion to go in executive session, under Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, to conduct strategy session in preparation and conduct negotiations with non-union personnel, the highway superintendent, and we will not return to regular session.
I'll make that motion.
Second,
All in
John
favor?
Van Eyck.
Frederick, side.
Aye. Yeah.
And
Oh, that was snickerdoodle.
No, comment?